All right, welcome back into the Tech Territory podcast presented by the Fifth Quarter Sports Network. I'm Mike. I'm joined by Josh. We're off of a busy weekend of college football. Virginia Tech took home a big win against Boston College on Thursday night. Bayshaw Tootin ran for 266 yards. Antoine Powell Ryland had 4 sacks. It was a big night for the Hokies, and we had a big weekend of college football after that. What thoughts did you have on that BC game there, Josh?
Um, I was there. It was having a great time. Baseball Tootin is awesome. It's not often that you get to celebrate a touchdown when the running back is at the 40-yard line,
Hmm.
and we got to do that twice on Thursday. Good crowd. It emptied out early because we were up 28-0.
Yeah,
Third
yeah,
quarter
yeah.
was ugly. Third quarter was ugly.
We're recording
But
this on Tuesday after a Thursday game, so almost a week later. I kind of had forgotten about that. Yeah, I was getting a little bothered there in the third quarter. Like, what the heck? This is it. We've blown the season right here.
yeah,
How
yeah, that was rough.
what was it like inside the stadium?
It had gotten, I mean, entirely dull. Everyone was holding their breath. Boston College has the ball at, what, the 50 at the
Yeah.
start of the fourth quarter, and they're only down by 7. And, I mean, that 4th and 1 just brought every bit of life back into the stadium. And it wasn't, but it sounded like it was full again for
Yeah, I
that
was going to say
fourth
what
quarter.
what was the noise? What was the noise like at that point?
It was shockingly loud on that 4th and 1.
I've kind of always not. I mean, it looks bad. It looks bad for the players to look up to see the empty stadium. But as far as the noise goes, in my opinion, in my mind, the people that are making the noise are staying for the whole game. I
Yep.
don't I don't think the students that are sitting in row whatever 5Z or however high up it goes. I know it's in 5 letters. I don't think their noise is making too much impact all the way down on the field. But
No.
yeah, those people who sit in the bottom 50 rows that actually are making a difference, I don't think they're not leaving
No,
then.
I refuse to leave a game early. I'm
Yeah.
paying to be there. I'm having a great time. I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere early.
Yeah. Yeah, and good. They sure needed it. Yeah, that 4th and 1 stop. My wife was asleep in the bed next to me, and I woke her up a little bit. Got a little nasty side eye, but but yeah,
Oh,
I
that's
kind
great.
of I kind of had a feeling right there that was ball game. They
Yeah,
then they
once that happened,
effortlessly, yeah, seemingly effortlessly went down the field, scored a touchdown, and kind of never looked back.
hmm
It the, I don't think the defense was ever the problem this year, but the defense does concern me a little bit. Like when BC wanted to move the ball, when they had even a little bit of momentum, seemed like they were moving the ball just fine. And that BC offense isn't the greatest
really,
offense in the world. Yeah, it seemed like it to me. Like in that when the team really needed the defense to step up and like kind of take control of the game, when the offense had screwed them over twice, BC just moved because I mean I guess the Teuton's fumble was on like the 20-yard line. But
yeah. How
yeah,
how much can you ask the defense to step up and make a difference when I believe Boston College got the ball in the red zone or inside the 30 at
that
least
was on the
twice,
fumble. Yeah. And
and the
then was
interception.
the interception was that side of the field too?
Oh yeah, it was absolutely on the side. I'll check exactly where it was in just a second. Let me get
I
that
just
pulled up.
comparing
I'll pull it up on my phone.
comparing this defense this year. I've tweeted that I don't think they're the problem,
No,
but they're not the old Bud Foster defense that we used to see, where it was 4 quarters of clamp down and
don't get me wrong. I don't think that Chris Marvin is capable of that. I don't think we aren't at the personnel exactly quite yet. Linebackers are mostly at linebacker and at safety. They're still kind of flushing around. We don't know where things are headed. we have an idea of the future in both spots, but you still have, I mean, a wide receiver translated safety who is starting. And I mean, while Brumfield was a good addition, he's been huge for us. He's not been great. He's been average at best, and that's what we brought him in here to do.
Yeah. Well, they say what I've heard about Brumfield is that he just does his job. Period. Like he's in his
Brumfield
gaps.
does his job. He
He's
does his
doing his job.
111th.
Yeah, but he's not a game changing guy. I will give the defense credit. They said that an issue was a lack of turnovers in the last couple of years, and that for sure was a problem. This year, they started to get a couple of turnovers in a couple of different games down near the goal line, and to me, it seemed just kind of like a fluke. Like, oh, this is. I think it was the Rutgers game. There was a fumble down on the goal line.
There was a fumble on the
inside
goal line,
the 10.
We stopped them inside the 5. I want
Yep,
to say.
and that happens a couple times, and it's like, all right, like good job. It happens every now and then. But I think at this point, there's more to it than that. They seem like
6 games in a row that we've made a stop inside the 6-yard line.
Yeah, like it's becoming a trend now, and there's a reason for that trend.
We have the 5th best red zone defense in the country. Now, granted, we let teams in the red zone a lot more than we should, but that red zone defense definitely helps. The interception was at the plus 29.
Yeah. So you can't fault the defense too bad for those 2 touchdowns. Boston College did come out after half and move the ball seemingly at will, and then just the momentum of two turnovers like immediately, and then 2 quick touchdowns after that. But yeah, it's not those 2 aren't too much on the defense, and then it seemed to me watching the game on TV once the momentum flipped even a little bit, it was not the shutdown defense we had seen in the first half, but again, like even in the Vanderbilt game, in the Rutgers game, I never thought that the defense was the problem. Giving up, I mean, it was mid-20s to both of those teams. Did Vanderbilt end up in the 30s with overtime?
34 with overtime.
Yeah,
27 in regulation.
Yeah, so giving up 27 in regulation to Vanderbilt, you should win that football game.
Absolutely, we should have.
Yeah,
and I think that, like I said with Marv, I think the defense looks a lot better, especially the run defense. Next year, the pass defense will be in a big question because we will probably be without Delane and we will be without Dorian Strong.
They both
I think
hurt?
The run defense. No, next year.
Oh, gotcha. I thought you meant this week. I was like, oh shit.
No. But I think the run defense looks a lot different and a lot better when you have. It'll be some group and organization of Jaden McDonald, Caleb Woodson, Caleb Spencer, Jaden Keller, and Kelly Lawson, who have all had a good history, have incredible potential, or are playing very well right now.
Yep. Yeah, those guys and whoever they're able to bring in from the portal.
Yeah. I think that we have a very, very good future at linebacker. I was not very high on what we were doing, translating a lot of safeties to linebacker. We had Cotman last year, who ended up transferring out to Charlotte, I want to say. But we also have Woodson. We have Gabe Williams technically committed to play linebacker, but he was a safety in high school.
He's on campus now, right? He's a freshman?
He's on campus, yeah.
Yeah.
But you have Jaden Keller, you have Kelly Lawson, you have who was the Mike for us last year?
I don't know off the top of my head.
He was.
I would remember when you said it. I can see if I can find it.
Yeah, see if you can do that. But a lot of those linebackers last year were translated safeties, and I don't think they had enough time at linebacker to be asked to do what they were doing. You also have Keontae Jenkins, who just completely slipped my mind there.
Yeah,
but yeah, the defense this year
has been a bit
of a concern. Um, I believe we're 100th on the dot in overall rush defense, but you take a look at like that Vanderbilt game where they ran that uh, triple option, and you take a look at Old Dominion averaged like 6 yards a carry, but if you took away
Oh yeah,
the
like two 75-yard runs.
like two 75-yard runs, I think one Bryce Duke had like a 48-yard run, and then the 80-yard touchdown. They averaged like 2.5 yards a carry.
Yep. Was it Alan
Um,
Tisdale that you're thinking of?
yes, it was.
Yeah. I'm not
I
too
believe he was
well. I'm not too well versed on those linebacker positions, nickel and Mike and Star, and I don't know the difference in all of them.
Nickel's the cornerback position.
Gotcha. Yeah. I know corner, safety, linebacker, middle linebacker, outside linebacker, but other than that, it gets a little fuzzy.
I'll be as quick as I can here. You got Mike, typically the middle linebacker, like the quarterback of the defense.
Mm-hmm.
And with this defense, you'll usually have a Will and a Sam, and I don't know exactly how those differentiate. But with this defense, you have a star, and that typically is the wide side of the field, and then you have, or the weak side. It can vary.
Yep.
And you have the Sam, which is the strong side, or the short side of the field.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
But yeah, the defense has been up and down. You have the red zone stops. You have a lot of turnovers. I want to say that we've forced more than a turnover a game so far this year. Did you accidentally just leave on your phone?
Yeah, I got it.
Let me check that. I want to say that we are up there in turnovers.
Up there in turnovers and damn near leading the country in sacks. Now, the defensive line, they've been playing as good as anybody.
The defensive line is probably the best unit on this roster, which is not what we thought we'd be saying. We thought it'd be the corners, the wide receivers. The defensive line is probably the best unit on this roster.
I was high on the defensive line coming in. I don't think I expected some of the second stringers to be playing as well as they are, but with APR, with Keyshawn Burgos, which I mean I'm talking about what fed into my expectations, because you look at Keyshawn Burgos and he is like a freak of a human being.
Yeah, he's a monster.
With him on there, with Fuga in there, with Aeneas Peebles in there, like I was pretty high on at least the first stringers on the defensive line.
And
Penne coming back. He's been playing for a couple years now. I haven't seen him getting burned too bad this year. I don't know if I've seen him making too many game breaking plays, but
he's like Brumfield. He does his job when he's on the field.
Yep.
And if you look at a lot of APR sacks, you feel bad for Burgos and Nelson, because a lot of the time they're back there right after. But APR just gets back there so quickly.
Yep,
we forced 12
turnovers. We
forced 12 turnovers in 7 games. That's probably near the top of the country.
Yeah.
In turnovers per game.
Yep. And pretty good compared to where we've been in the last few years. I'd be surprised if we got to 12 in the llast few years, and if we did, it wasn't by much.
I think we were barely at 12 last year, because we had a turnover, I think 2 turnovers against UVA, and then a fumble recovery against Tulane that and 3 in those 2 games, I think, put us at 12 in the 13, and we forced like 4 in 2022.
Yeah,
that was
miserable.
That was bad.
Yeah.
And another concern of mine, I haven't seen anybody talk about this, is we are turning the ball over too much.
Yeah.
Because that was a lot of it.
It was 3. It was 3 against BC.
It was 3 against Boston College.
Yeah, and 3 kind of bad ones too.
Yeah, you had the interception, and I still don't know where he was throwing the ball. I think he was trying to throw it away, maybe, and got his feet crossed up, or trying to hit Gosnell and his feet got crossed up on his release.
Yep.
Because that was a like bush league throw. That was
Yeah.
it. It really looked like he was throwing to the Boston College defender.
Yeah, he threw it right to him. And then the two fumbles are me like if it's at the line of scrimmage and you're fighting for yards, you just get hit by somebody, like, fumbles happen, whatever. But the fumbles down the field after like a 10 or 20-yard run are just infuriating to me. It's like,
Oh yeah,
I mean, yeah, sure, they're trying to get the touchdown, they're trying to make the big play, but like, gosh, once you get that 10, 15 yards, ball security number one, keep the legs moving, but you just can't fumble out, because they were both drones had run for 15, 20 yards and then
Drones was at
fumbled.
20 and Tootin
Yeah,
was at 12.
yep. And you can't. I mean, that was backed up in the shadow of your goalpost. I think it was, if it wasn't first down, it was second down, like first or second play of that drive. And
Yeah,
he breaks it, and I mean, once he crosses that first down line, it's like, all right, well, they're scoring a touchdown on this drive. Like, this is going to be easy, ball game.
yeah,
And then he fumbles, and they get the ball at the 20-yard line. It's like, oh shit, here we go.
yep,
So yeah, those two, those three turnovers are ones you just can't have.
yeah. And I want to say that we've turned the ball over 7 times in 7 games, which is not terrible, but the manner of those
Yeah,
turnovers is a problem. We have turned the ball over in really, really bad spots. Um, I can't see. Hold on, I'm trying to pull up how many times we fumbled the ball, but I
there's
can't. I'm looking on ESPN. And I just there it is. We've lost 4 fumbles, so we've turned it over 9 times.
how many fumbles have they had? Do you have that? Like, not ones that
10
they've
total.
lost. Yeah, yeah, that's a lot in seven
Yeah.
games. 10 fumbles brings me back to the Tennessee game back in 2016.
Oh God.
That was like 5 fumbles in that game.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, that one was tough. Um,
But I like the way that we won, because we won and we did not play as well as we could have. That was maybe the worst playing blowout win that I've ever seen. That was the most penalized we've been all year. Um, so we beat a not necessarily a great team, but Boston College has a pulse. They're very well
mhm.
coached. They have a very talented quarterback and some very talented running backs. Their defense before Tootin victimized them was top 30 rushing defense in the country. They're not a bad team, and we still blew them out and played not bad, but we had a lot of missed opportunities and mistakes. Like, you probably didn't even get to go to Tootin and say, yeah, you ran for 266 yards, but you fumbled the ball.
Yep,
And he can look at the offensive line and say, yeah, y'all blocked to get them 266 yards, but we were penalized a lot.
yep.
And same with Drones. He played well. I think 14 for 17 or 14 for 18, something like that. And he still threw an interception. And it was
Which
a really bad one, too.
I'm kind of under the opinion that in this game, in this spot, that game was almost perfect for moving forward. You want to get the win, you want to build some confidence, but you also don't want to get too high on your laurels. Like, yeah, they won, they can celebrate
Yeah.
it, good job, but the coaches have plenty this week to be like, hey, y'all actually, I'm sure as a coach, you're like, hey, y'all suck. Like, you need to play better. Like, you could have lost that game. Here are these mistakes. Like, come on, guys, let's do better, and kind of light a fire
Yeah.
under them, and hopefully come out and play a complete game against Georgia Tech, because we still haven't seen a 4-quarter game this year.
Yeah. And if you really do limit, I'm not even going to say the Drones one, because the Drones one was not bad. The Boston College defender swiped at the ball and he hit it perfectly. Now Drones was not carrying it properly. He had the ball out here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the Boston College defender swiped the ball and knocked it out. And that one wasn't as bad as giving them the ball twice inside the 30. You cannot do that
Yep.
like whatsoever. You avoid doing that, and you're probably looking at, and I'll even say we go and punt the ball on those drives, and we probably still make stops. You're probably looking at a 42, 49, 35 to 7 win.
Yep. Where which one was first? The interception, the inter fumble.
It was the drones fumble, the drones interception, and then
Yeah.
the Tootin fumble.
Yeah, so in my mind, like as a coach, after that interception, it's then a 14-point game. That next drive, because they go score a touchdown, you throw the interception, they score another easy touchdown. That offensive drive has just got to last like a couple of minutes, anyways. Like,
Yeah.
if you run it up the middle 3 times and run 2.5 minutes off the clock and then punt it away, like you kind of got to go into a little. I hate to say you got to go into a little bit of a conservative mode there, but it's like you gotta slow this game down, kind of take a deep breath, and go from there. You can't
Yeah.
give it to them inside the 20-yard line.
It's very rare that you'll see any Power 4 team play another Power 4 team and have the luxury of saying they turned it over twice in their own territory and won the game, yet alone won by 21.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a lot of improvement, which is really good because we just won by a lot and played a damn good football game.
Yeah.
I'm confident in this coaching staff that they will be able to do what they need to make the proper adjustments to win these games and be better.
Yep. All right. Well, we've beat the Boston College dead horse pretty good. What are you thinking about this upcoming week? We got Georgia Tech coming to town. Got a noon kickoff. Got a 10-point Virginia Tech favorite. What are your thoughts?
Well, according to Colby Crawford with 247, Haynes King is likely not going to play this week. Now, Brent Key came out a couple hours ago and said that wasn't true. I think that might just be coach speak to try and get our coaches to prepare for both quarterbacks. I feel really, really good without Haynes King. There's a reason the spread's 10. We have been really good at home in the last 2 years. You look at it since the alteration of the playbook when against Pitt last year, you're looking at 2 home losses, and it was Rutgers and NC State last year. Is that right?
Yep. And that NC State was a pretty close game too, and they were a good team last year.
Yeah, NC State was a very good team last year. And we had a shot there.
I was say, if I remember right, that loss kind of hurt, and it shouldn't have.
Yeah, it was 28-7 NC State, I believe, at one point, and we brought it back to 20. I want to say 21-35, and then drones through an interception. We got the ball back, scored a touchdown, and failed to recover the onside.
Gotcha.
So yeah, that game didn't feel great.
Ended up 35-28. Yeah, we scored 14 we scored 21 in the second half after scoring 7. So we were down 21-7 at half. We were down 35-14. Yeah, 35-14 at the end of the third quarter, and then brought it back 35-28. Scored 14 to nothing in the fourth quarter. So yeah. So they play pretty good at home.
I'm not mistaken, that game was the game where Tootin had 3 carries for -2 yards. That was really bad.
Yeah, I got the high rushing yards was drones for 51 yards.
Good Lord. What were we doing?
Can't have that.
How did we score 28 and have the highest rusher being our quarterback for 51?
Yeah, Tootin had 2 carries for -3 yards.
Good Lord.
His longest rush was 3 yards, so we had another one for -6 yards.
I don't remember that. That was the first game I'd been to in Lane since the game day loss against Clemson.
Yep.
It had been a while, and it was so cold.
I'm sure.
But yeah, I feel really good. They have that running back Jamal Haynes, who's super talented. I think if we can get out ahead by 2 scores at any point, we'll end up running away with it. And I think that if we can really just keep them from running away and getting comfortable and letting them run the ball with Haynes, and if we can just force them to throw the ball with what I assume will be Pyron, we will not have a problem with Georgia Tech.
Yeah. I have similar feelings to this game as I did the Boston College game. I think if Virginia Tech plays like they have now the last 3 weeks, they'll win this game in the 40 to 10 to 20 range.
Yeah.
If they come out like they did against Vanderbilt and Rutgers, I think it'll be a close game. I don't see Georgia Tech running away with it. I think if Tech loses, it would be a close loss. Just how we've seen them come back all year. If they do get down 21-0 at halftime, I think they're going to have something in the second half. I don't think that's going to happen. I think
Can Brent Pry afford another close loss?
Yeah, no. And I think Tyler Bowen is taking his head out of the sand this year. It's 2 years in a row now that it's taken him, 4 games to figure out how to call plays, and he's done that now. And the offense is rolling the last 3 games. What is it? The last
34, 31, and 42.
42.
Is how many points we scored.
Yeah, that's pretty good. If we do that all 40. Year.
We scored 40 in the Miami game.
Yeah. Oh yeah, is that with the touchdown at the end?
Felton touchdown, yeah.
Yeah.
But what I've noticed is since that Rutgers game, we decided that we weren't going to. This offense has the ability to be versatile and play off of the run and the pass, but I don't know what it is. It just does not work when you try to play the pass first. If you look at the Vanderbilt game and the Rutgers game for most of the game, it has not worked. Go ahead.
Sorry. No, sorry. I thought you were done.
We have started, instead of bowing and trying to play to the other team's weakness, we run the ball because that's what we're good at. That is what this offensive line is good at. I believe I said it here. If not, I said it on the phone with a friend of mine a couple weeks ago. This offensive line individually is not great. Parker Clements is not fantastic. Bob Schick is not fantastic. Caden Moore's good. He's not great. Braylon Moore is good. He's not great. Xavier Chaplin's really good. But as a unit, Ron Crook has these boys as a force. They blocked incredibly well, and you don't run for 266 yards with one player if your offensive line does not open up gaps for you. Because he did it on 18 carries. You don't average 15 yards a carry if you're not getting the line opened up for you.
Yep.
And this offensive line has been able to do that in every way possible. And even against Stanford, we didn't run the ball fantastic. I think Tootin had 21 carries for 73 yards or something like that, or 19 for 73. And he averaged less than 4 a carry. But at the same time, that allowed us to play off the run because he was just good enough to keep the defense honest.
Well, I think that something that coming into this year that we expected to have, we don't. We expected to have a super potent passing attack with Kyron Jones coming back, having another year to develop as a passer under who we thought would have been a pretty good offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach. The receivers, we all thought as good as anybody in the country when we come out the first couple of weeks thinking we can throw the ball all over the field, and they just can't. I think Kyron in an interview has said that he was just trying to be too perfect. Like he was trying to be perfect on everything and couldn't. Well, that's kind of what the running game brings in.
He was trying to be someone that he's not.
I mean, he wasn't running the ball that much early on. It didn't seem like. I mean, the stats may say different, but watching, like, he's what, 6'2", 6'3", 240, like he's got to be bumbling down the field. But the running game, it gets some eyes in the backfield, and we're seeing in the first couple of weeks, I'd watch the Tech games, and it seemed like every pass was contested. And then you'd watch other games, and even not good teams, like they would find receivers just wide open down the field. And I remember watching those games, being like, "How do they do that? Like, well, that seems easy. Like, why doesn't Tech do that?" Well, now you're kind of seeing that. Like, it seems like every game, at least a couple of times, Stephen Gosnell is just wide open in the middle of the field somewhere, just kind of standing there waiting on the ball. And in my mind, I don't know, I'm no football expert, but in my mind, that's some cornerbacks' eyes are in the backfield, some safeties are eyes in the backfield, some linebackers' eyes are in the backfield, and they end up out of position. They run the little RPO, and they take one step forward, and all of a sudden, Stephen Gosnell's behind him on a slant route, wide open.
Yeah.
So I think the commitment to the run is a lot of why we're seeing some more production out of the offense, and it's good to see.
Yeah, and I played safety, and I can speak on. I played some really really good running backs, and even I mean I kind of went to school with is one of the best in the state. When you are playing a team that has a good running back, that's hard to tackle, hard to size up, something. If he brings one thing to the table and is good at running the ball, Tootin brings a lot. If he brings one thing to the table and is hard to bring down or get to, it becomes very difficult to defend on the play action because you see that and you're a second later to react to the guy running a post across the deep middle of the field. You're 3 yards further towards the line of scrimmage at the snap of the ball. It is a lot more difficult for the the secondary to do what they're supposed to do when you make the front or when you make them do what the front seven's supposed to do, and that's tackle the running back.
Mm-hmm. Yep. One thing I've kind of noticed a underlying trend, and I don't know what causes it. I've got a theory, but I don't think there's anything to it. I think we've got one power running back that plays regularly, Malachi Thomas. He doesn't strike me as the small and quick guy like Tootin is,
No,
like PJ
he's more
Prelo
power
is.
guy.
He's our bruiser, and he doesn't seem like he can get going anywhere. It's like Tootin's in there, and even Prelo in there. Like he's a freshman, sophomore, young guy. Like he finds holes. Obviously, Bashaw Tootin finds holes. So what's going on there? Why can't Malachi Thomas get going? Maybe my theory. I don't know how much merit there is to it, but is the offensive line just not holding on to blocks for that extra half a second that the power back needs to squeeze through there? I don't know. It seems like Malachi Thomas burst onto the scene 2 years ago like he was going to be our next Ryan Williams, and now it seems like he's rushing for half a yard to carry.
Yeah, the difference in power and zone or trap or read kind of run plays is that they have to hold on to the blocks a little longer, and it's a different kind of group blocking. And I don't think the offensive line has the personnel to be, even as a group, very good at that. I mean, you look at Chaplin. That's actually going to be one of his strong suits, is power run blocking. That's where he's actually good. But at the rest of the offensive line, you're looking at a lot more of finesse and agility kind of
Mm-hmm.
blocking that they're good at, and that's where Tootin comes in. That's where he's going to be talented. You look at the holes that Malachi Thomas has gotten, the blocking that he's gotten, and he's still averaging 3-4 yards a carry. He's been a lot better than the offensive line has been able to let him. He is a good running back.
Yeah, I haven't
Don't
thought
block
once.
enough for him.
I haven't thought once this season that the problem is him. I just had another thought too. Tootin and Prelo, the smaller, quick guys, they can stretch you side to side.
Yep.
They've got the speed to beat a linebacker, to beat a defensive line, to beat a defensive end around the edge. So they have to defend the whole field with them. When Malachi Thomas is in there, they don't have to defend the whole field because he may not have that top end speed or quickness to beat a linebacker around the edge. I haven't seen very much that like quick pitch outside Malachi Thomas this year, and I don't think we're gonna see it very much because I don't think that's his game.
Yeah, I don't think it's as much the linebackers as much as it is. I'll take a look at film to confirm this, but the defensive ends against Tootin, against Prelude, have to set some form of a contain. And they don't have to worry about doing that against Thomas. They can crash in, and if he gets the ball, they can immediately crash in, and that leaves him no kind of bailout because by the time he tries to, there's a defensive end 3 feet to his right.
Yeah.
When there's not a hole in the middle. So it's a combination of things, and he's still averaging 3.5 yards a carry. He's not the problem. I don't want to say the offensive line's a problem because they've been pretty good. This is just not their style of blocking with the personnel they have.
Yep. Yeah, and it's just a shame for him, I think, because like I say, he burst on the scene. I think it was 2 years ago. Like he was going to be our next great running back, and then now he's solidly second string. But I mean, PJ Prelow has more. Would seem, in my mind, just from watching the games and not really going back and watching film too much, seems like he has more big, exciting runs than Malachi Thomas does.
Yeah. Man, that was 3 years ago, that Syracuse game.
Was it 3 years ago? Good gracious. Was that the Fuente blew it?
That was the last game that Fuente... No, it was not. He coached the Duke game afterwards, but this is the Fuente blew this game when we were...
Yep.
At one point, we had a 91.5% chance to win. And also, that was with 50 seconds to go. And we also had a 91.5% chance to win with 5.5 minutes to go.
Yeah.
But he had 151 yards and 3 touchdowns in that game. And I mean, I think everyone else on the internet thought that he was next. I can scroll back on my I ran an Instagram account for Tech Sports. I can scroll back to that day, and I posted him probably 30 times in that day, just alone.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and I mean now he's a solid second back. He holds on to the ball. He gets us 3 or 4 yards a carry, but he's not the explosive superstar we all thought he'd be.
Yeah, and but he doesn't go down easy. I think that he has the tools to maybe. If he gets a chance at the next level, I think he has the tools to maybe get a roster spot as that fourth running back on the roster.
Yeah, he would definitely be an undrafted free agent, right?
Oh, 100%. He doesn't have the tools to get drafted even.
Or the stats.
But he has the tools, or the stats. He has the tools to maybe make a roster spot, though.
Yeah.
If not, then a practice squad spot.
Well, while we're here, let's go ahead and pick the Georgia Tech Virginia Tech game since we're talking about that, and then we'll briefly touch on. We're already at almost 40 minutes in, so we'll briefly touch on.
Good Lord!
It goes by quick. On the games last week, and then we'll make our picks for the games this week. So who do you got? We got Georgia Tech at Virginia Tech, noon kickoff. Tech's favored by 10.5, and the over under is 51.5. What you got?
I think the best bet there would be to take Virginia Tech minus 10.5. I also really like the over.
All right. Well,
I don't think that'd be a bad parlay. I'll take 10.5 for sure.
I'm taking the same. I see a Tech. I'm thinking the team plays good. I want to see. I don't care if the offense scores 20 points and looks bad. This game, I want to see the defense eat. I want to see 7 points. I want to see 10 points. Now, I will give the benefit of the doubt if the offense screws them over and they give them the ball at the 15-yard line. It ends up being 21 points again, like it was last week. But I want to see the defense dominating. I think we've seen what the offense can do at its peak. They look good. I said earlier I don't think the defense has been the problem. I haven't seen them dominate a game yet. And I want to see 4 quarters them start to finish. One of those give up less than 150 yards. I think Georgia Tech's a team you could do it against. They got a backup quarterback. Might be Haynes King could play, but he's banged up anyways with an upper body. I thought shoulder injury.
Is that what it was?
Or that's what's coming to mind. Or you got a backup quarterback in there. I want to see the defense dominating. That's what I want to see.
That backup quarterback did beat us in 2022.
I do. Yeah, I did see that too. I don't know that we will. I would probably predict a 35-24 type game to cover that 10.5 spread. But to give me confidence, I'm talking like to give me confidence for the next 4 games after this one, and with Clemson coming to town, I want to see a good, complete defensive performance. We know the offense has it. We've seen it. I don't think we've seen the 0 points, 150 yards given up like we saw, Bud Foster's last year, back-to-back, Pitt, Wake Forest, 0, give up back-to-back shutouts. Like I want to see something along those lines. I don't know that we will, but that's what I'm going to be looking for this weekend.
I think we do see that in this game, and we've seen it probably every year other than 2022 for the last 25, 30, excluding the 2019 season or 2018 season where that defense was really, really, really bad. You look at last year, you can take a look at the Tulane game where we were incredibly dominant, or even the UVA game. They did score down the stretch, but it was all garbage time. I want to say they didn't score until the late third quarter. They set off fireworks for a field goal down 38-0, by the way.
Yeah. Yep.
But I think that if we see a really good, complete, all-around defensive performance this season, it's either in this one or it's after the Clemson game.
Yeah, Duke or Virginia for sure. I think Duke is fool's gold completely.
Oh yeah, they absolutely are. That offense is putrid.
Yeah. All right, we'll get to it. So we'll start with Miami Louisville. Did you catch any of that one, Josh?
I caught a little bit of it scrolling through. I know that there was a really, really controversial calling, which may or may not have been the right call. I've seen both come from or from groups of fans everywhere, that it was the right or the wrong call. But the fact that they're making a controversial calling 3 weeks in a row towards Miami that really played a big part in deciding the game or completely decided the game is very odd. I'm not gonna call out like the ACC's rigging games, because I don't think that they are. If it happens again, then I will really think that they are.
So you need 4 times in a row.
In a row, I don't know. I've been told once is coincidence, twice is happenstance, 3 times is on purpose. What was your take on the call that was made?
I know you disagree with me on this particular point. I thought the same thing with the Tech game, same thing with this one. I think in the end, the correct call was made, the call that should have been made. I do not think that there was video evidence in either of those to overturn the call.
Yeah.
You see his hand get hit. You see the ball move before his arms start moving forward. It does kind of look like he still has control, but the ball moves. And it's like, is that his hand moving it? Is that it coming loose and he pushes his hand forward? Like, you just don't see it. It does look like in it that he still has control, but there's nothing conclusive.
Yeah.
And then, there was that, and then a couple, I think the next play, I believe it was the next play. Cam Ward throws for 50 yards down to like 2-yard line. Well, he gets hit as he's releasing the ball, and about a half a second before that, there is an egregious missed holding call. So that one should have been a sack for minus 6 yards and ends up being a 50-yard pass where they score a touchdown on the next play. And the guy was like arms around him when he released the ball, and there was a bad holding call missed right before that. It's like, come on, guys.
I hate that it's Miami and Cam Ward, because I hate Miami. I've grown up hating Miami. I hate them more than UVA, and almost as much as West Virginia. But man, Cam Ward is so awesome, and I like the fact that you're saying that his arms were around him as he released the ball, and he made the throw downfield accurately. I mean, he's unfortunately awesome.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he had that against Tech when he was going to the ground and threw like the little chest pass to the tight end for
Yeah,
20 yards. Like what? Who does that? And then I mean, Miami's got Florida State at home. They're going to beat them by 100. They got Duke at home. They're going to beat them by 100. They go to Georgia Tech. They're going to beat them by 100. Wake Forest at Miami. They're going to beat them by 100. And they go to Syracuse. I mean, that game could be something, but I would still pick Miami in the points, whatever they are. I
yeah.
think at
How
this
funny
point,
would it be if Florida State just comes out and just turns the season around, just like completely dominates Miami?
that'd be. I mean, if there's a game that they're going to get up for, it's going to be this one. But I don't know. I'm not holding my breath on it. I
Give
mean,
me
I
Florida
would
State money
say
line.
it's going to be. I'd be a good parlay a couple more in there for your $1 to win $2,000 bet. I mean Georgia Tech and Syracuse. I mean they struggle with Cal. Cal's not good. And I
Cal
think
lost to Florida State. Cal is Florida State's one win.
yep. And Miami beat Cal by 38 on the controversial targeting call. So I think Georgia Tech at Syracuse could trip Miami up. There's a shot, but I don't see it.
Yeah, I do want to go back real quick and say that targeting call. I know we talked about it in the first episode. That targeting call was egregious. Textbook targeting.
Yeah,
But
that one was tough.
yeah, Miami's gonna beat Florida State by 100 points.
Yeah,
it's going to be disgusting. Florida State's defense is terrible. Their offense is worse, and we thought that we were fortunate to avoid them on our schedule.
Yep. All right. Next, Georgia Texas was the other big game. Did you catch that one?
I caught almost the entire thing. Georgia's a really good football team. I don't know what happened in Bryant Denny. I don't know if Alabama's. I don't know what's up with Alabama. I don't know if they're good. I mean, their two losses are two ranked teams on the road. So
Alabama's just classically undisciplined. Like if they play like they're capable, they're the number one team in the country. But
they're not only undisciplined, but they're also what's the word I'm looking for? Soft. I think you can deal with one. I think last year we weren't on defense. We weren't soft, but we were very undisciplined. And that gave a bunch of big runs and really killed our team. This Alabama defense is soft and it's undisciplined, and it took Nick Saban was there for 16 years, I think, 17 years, and Kalen DeBoer has taken that away in 7 games. And I think Kalen DeBoer is a really good football coach, but he has got to figure his shit out at Alabama, because there are some people in a country club. There were some people in the country club in the greater Birmingham area, like Brandon Walker said, talking about how much money can we put together to buy out Kalen DeBoer and go hire whoever else.
Yep. Like Brandon Walker said, they're calling Nick Saban Sunday morning saying, "Hey, what's it going to take?" I mean, because Nick Saban has this team number 1 in the country and undefeated right now.
Yeah. Oh, easily.
No problem.
Because that Tennessee team did not play well. I think that they are incredibly talented and absolutely even capable of winning the national championship with what they have on their roster, because that defense is really, really good. And that was the problem with that 2022 team. Is that right? With Hendon Hooker and Jalen Hyatt and Cedric Tillman and all them.
Oh, he just got hurt. From what I remember, like Hendon Hooker went down, and that was kind of the end of their season.
Oh, that's also, they were also down like 56 to 31 to South Carolina when he went down.
Yeah. Oh, when he got hurt?
Yeah.
So I didn't remember all that.
It was something like that. But that's always been the problem since Heupel got there, was the fact that Tennessee could not field a good defense. And that defense is really, really good. If Nico can just figure it out, and you can see the differences between the Tennessee offense of 2022 and 2024, like how it was called. Heupel doesn't completely trust Nico yet. If he can get that trust and earn it and show that he's capable of, or prove that he's capable of what we all know he is capable of, that Tennessee team is absolutely capable of winning a national championship.
Yep.
But
I
the
don't.
fact that Alabama lost that game when Tennessee played really, really poorly is not good.
Yep. I don't know if I see it for Tennessee this year, but I mean they get at least one more year of Nico, and unless he really balls out, they're going to get 2 more years of Nico. And I mean, I think they're going to be a force. I don't know anything about the age of their defense, but if they bring back 70% of it, they're going to be a force next year, unless Nico turns out to
Yeah.
be some big flop. I
Yeah,
don't.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. No, you got it. You got it.
I think that Nico's incredibly talented. I don't think that he's going to flop. He absolutely could. I might be wrong, but I think I personally, I mean, I had Nico in my preseason. Like I thought he was a preseason dark horse for Heisman.
Oh yeah.
He's a really, really good football player.
Yeah,
I think
just
that there's a confidence issue.
little bit more confidence, a little bit more like
He
refinement, a
could
little bit more
overthrow the North Korean
development.
government.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So that was kind of Bama, Tennessee. We're all liking to, we're starting to look ahead. Maybe we could go 7-1, beat Clemson. Get a Miami rematch in the ACC championship game. Well, there's one team that I think is going to stand in our way, and that is the SMU Mustangs. I think that's their mascot.
Yes, it is.
They got a game this, I believe, this Thursday against Pittsburgh.
No, that's Syracuse that has a game against Pittsburgh.
Got it.
Next week they play Pittsburgh.
Okay, I wasn't completely wrong there. So moving forward, I believe this weekend. So
they play at Duke. That'll be disgusting.
That'd be a kind of interesting game. So in conference, at undefeated we got Pitt, SMU, Miami, and Clemson. So Tech can take care of Clemson. Miami, I mean, we kind of need Miami to go undefeated at this point.
Miami would have to lose 2 for us to make it in the ACC championship without them there. And if they lose 1 game, I'd be shocked. If they somehow manage to lose 2 games, then I think that you fire Mario Cristobal on the spot.
Yep. So is it Syracuse Pitt Thursday?
It's Syracuse Pitt on Thursday, and that's effectively an ACC championship elimination.
Yep.
Game
And we're Syracuse fans. We want Syracuse to win that game. They are currently 2-1 in conference, and we play them. So we in this scenario, we would beat them and have a tiebreaker. Pittsburgh at 2-0, we don't play them, so we need them. We need them to lose at least one and force a. I mean, it might end up being a 7-way tiebreaker.
If they lose, hopefully it's not a massive tiebreaker. If they lose to Syracuse and we win over Syracuse, then we will have the common record, because I don't believe they play I don't think Pitt matters. I forgot about this. Pitt, I don't think matters in the long run. They have a fucking gauntlet on the back half of their schedule. Let me read this off.
And they've only played 2 conference games.
They play Syracuse, who's not a pushover. They play SMU, who's really good. They play Virginia, who's, I don't think they're good, but they're not a pushover. Then they play Clemson and at Louisville.
Yeah, so they're going to lose. They're going to lose
and
2
at Boston College. They will lose. I think they lose 3 at least down the stretch of their last 6, and I don't think that's something like bad to say about Pitt. I think that's a really good team. I think Pat Narduzzi, as much as I don't like him, did a really good job at turning this Pitt team around.
So then maybe we are Pitt fans this weekend. Because we maybe need them to have some confidence going down to SMU. I don't know.
Maybe. I think the best case scenario is that we beat Clemson and then SMU loses to one of Boston College and UVA, which would give us the tiebreaker over Clemson and put us in a 2-way tie, theoretically assuming Pitt falls off, with SMU going to common record or common opponent record, and they would have a loss to Boston College or UVA.
Yeah,
that we don't. If they lose, it has to be against one of those 2, or it will go to like some dumbass tiebreaker.
just knowing the ACC over the last 10 years that I've been following, I'm looking at all of this like this has got to happen, but also in the back of my mind, I'm telling myself if Tech goes 7-1 and beats Clemson, they're going to be in the ACC championship game. Just the odds. Yeah. The odds are like you've beaten Clemson, who is one of the best teams in the country. In this scenario, you've beaten Clemson, who I think is one of the best teams in the country.
I think Clemson can win the national championship.
They could, yeah. But just the ACC has so much chaos over the years. I mean, SMU, Boston College, UVA, Cal, they all have a pulse. Like they're not Wake Forest, they're not Florida State. Like they're all playing decent football. I don't know if I see SMU. I don't think I see it. You look at every game on that schedule, and yeah, SMU should win every one. But will they? I don't think they will. They may end up 7-1. They may end up 6-2.
Go down to percentages.
Yeah.
Now, I think that they go 7-1, and it's a fact of the matter of I don't know what the third and fourth and fifth tiebreaker is because we don't play them head to head, and we will have the same record against common opponents, which is the second tiebreaker.
So it's going to be a mess.
Clemson and have a tiebreaker on that. I don't know what the tiebreakers after that are. It might be point differential against common opponents. If we somehow go 7-1 and don't make it, SMU deserves to be there, but I will be really, really upset.
Oh, that would be really lame if they went through their nobody schedule. We lose to the other team that's playing in the game, and they go and we don't like that.
Yeah,
that would be pretty wild. But we'll see. Again, like I say, the ACC has been chaos for forever, so. I think if
football is in such a weird spot with this season that it is entirely possible the ACC spits out 3 playoff teams. The champion, if it's, say, Virginia Tech is the champion, then you have maybe a 1-loss SMU and a 1-loss Miami.
Yeah.
And then where's Clemson factor in? Maybe over SMU. The ACC is – I don't think there's a – I don't think Miami's a championship team. I think Clemson can be a national championship team. But there are 6 teams that can make the playoff if they can play well down the stretch. When you look at go in order from Miami down to Syracuse.
Are they good enough to be in the playoff? Absolutely not. I think
absolutely not. Are they good enough to make it out of the ACC? Absolutely.
Yeah. I think all but 2 of those teams. And maybe all but one of those teams, unless you get lucky and are a 5 seed, which I don't think any of them. I mean, I guess Clemson or Miami could get a 5 seed if they get way up there and then lose in the ACC championship game. But still, I don't. And you play Boise State. Maybe an SMU has a chance. Anybody outside of that, unless we get luck, unless an at-large ACC team that's not named Clemson or Miami is playing a group of 5 team, they're going to get beat by 30 in the playoff. I'm confident.
Yeah, I think that the only way that we see Clemson or Miami win a playoff game, is if most likely Virginia Tech wins the ACC and Boise State runs the table, which would probably end up with them being ranked above Virginia Tech as conference champions. We get the 5 seed. We'd play, we'd automatically get the 5 seed. We'd play at home in Lane, and then I think that would put us up against Boise State, which there's a backdoor way to the semifinals.
Wait, wouldn't if Boise State's a conference champion, wouldn't they then be the 4 seed?
Yes. I believe 4 matches up with 5-12.
Yeah. So but still, then we'd play like freaking Penn State or somebody.
State.
If
we were the 5 seed, then we'd play the 4 seed.
Well, not in the first round. Yeah, that's what I say. That in that scenario, the 12 seed would. Yeah.
in Lane Stadium,
which would be awesome.
That would be so awesome.
Yeah, when this 12-team playoff kind of started. It's always been in the back of my head that, like, damn, I'd almost rather be the not get a bye and host round 1 than be in the top 4 and not get to host, because I want to see a playoff game in Lane Stadium in my life.
I want to see a playoff game in Lane Stadium so bad.
Yep. So we'll see.
It will happen under Brent Pry. Mark my words. Quote me on that.
Cool. So we had Michigan is horrible. They're just horrible.
Yeah, I
And
don't
we
know if
were
you need
gonna
to expand on that. They don't have a
yeah.
quarterback. We were upset about
Um.
losing Alex Orji to the
Yep.
flip, and he's not good.
Yep. And then we had Duke and FSU. They're both not very good. And then you had
We've kind of glossed over that a little bit.
yep. And then you wanted to touch on Hugh Freeze and Auburn.
I think that his job is in a lot of trouble. I've heard a couple people say that he could have taken a better quarterback out of the portal than what they have. And he didn't on purpose because he knew that this roster wasn't good enough or ready to win yet. And he knew that if they spent money on a really good quarterback and he failed, that he would probably lose his job. But they've shown that they're good enough to win games. They are finding new ways to lose football games, and that is something that's really scary to see out of the coach. That was the issue with Fuente in 2018. We were in a lot of those games that we lost when we went 6-7, but we just found new ways to lose games. I mean, you look at this Auburn or this Missouri game. They were up 17-6 with let me check when Missouri scored. They were up 17-6, going into the fourth quarter. You cannot lose that game. I mean, they proceed to, if I'm not mistaken, they had 25 yards in the fourth quarter. And you look at the Cal game that they lost earlier this year and the Arkansas game, and they lost to Oklahoma at home. That team is god-awful as well. We forgot to put that on the sheet. They're Michigan bad. Brent Venables is in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
But Hugh Freeze is finding new ways to lose football games every week, and that's something really scary to see out of the coach. While he's a really good coach, just like Kalen DeBoer, he's got to figure his shit out or he's going to be out the door very soon. Auburn's football program, if Hugh Freeze isn't the guy, is in a lot of trouble. Just like Tech was when we had to let go of Fuente.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. Auburn, it's a shame that they're not, in the mix. That's a program that I like to see up near the top, and it's hard to see when they're not.
College football is good when Auburn is good.
Yeah. Yeah, when the Iron Bowl is a good game. This year it's got some intrigue, but not for the normal reason.
Yeah, it's got some intrigue for Fubo TV.
Yeah, that's right. So next on the list we got the Heisman race. Josh, you can't see this, but I've put up on the screen a Heisman list at number 1. This is by NCAAF Nation. A good follow on Twitter there. They got Ashton Jeanty number one, Cam Ward number 2, Travis Hunter number 3, Dylan Gabriel number 4. Then they have the Army, I assume, quarterback, and the Navy quarterback 5 and 6. And then so on and so forth. Notable on here, you got Diego Pavia number 9. And then coming in at number 15 on this list is Antoine Powell Ryland. And I mean, just seeing a VT logo on a Heisman Watch list, the text rumbling. There's a little bit of hype building back up. It was crushed pretty quick with the Vanderbilt loss, and then smashed in the ground with the Rutgers loss. But there's a little, there's some eyes of the nation turning back to the Hokies, and Antoine Powell Ryland popping up on a Heisman list is not something I had on my bingo card for this week, but sure glad to see it.
I'm shocked that if he isn't, I'm shocked that Tootin isn't. I believe Antoine Powell Ryland's 9th. I saw him at 9th on a list. I think that might be an odds list. Let me check. I'm just going to look up Antoine Powell Ryland Heisman.
I looked earlier at odds, and I couldn't find anywhere where he was at least this high. I saw some in the 30s, but
I think I saw one where he was tied 9th. That might have been a defensive player of the year.
But to even be in that conversation, defensive player of the year, Heisman,
yeah, it's incredible.
We haven't seen that out of a Virginia Tech player in a long time.
Yeah, when was the last time we had a guy up there for Heisman? What, Josh Jackson going into the 2018 season had some hype?
No more than like drones this year.
Yeah, I think Gerard Evans was very, very under the radar. I
I
think
don't
if
know
we
if he got
don't
much Heisman
lose,
hype.
I think if we don't lose that Georgia Tech game, one of the Georgia Tech or Syracuse games in 2016, he's very possibly a semifinalist.
Well, and he was going to be a Heisman favorite coming into the next year, which I don't know if we need to get into that too much, but I think that is all time bad move. Him leaving and not
Going to the
making
NFL.
anything. Yeah, he comes back next year. He's leading that team. He's in the
That's a
Heisman race all
playoff
year, and
team. That's a playoff team the next year. That
yeah,
next team was really good, especially if he comes back and you probably maybe he can convince like an Isaiah Ford or Bucky Hodges to come back to take the load off of
yep.
Cam Phillips. That team could have been so good.
Yep, yeah, and that was, I mean, that kind of doomed Fuente's whole tenure right there when because that screwed up his plan.
Yeah, it did.
He then had to like throw Josh Jackson in earlier than he was ready, and I mean when I first saw the tweet or the post that Gerard Evans was leaving early, everybody was like, "What?" And then he went undrafted, and I mean, God, I remember he kind
I
of.
want to say he signed with the Packers or the Texans.
I thought he was on with the Steelers for a little bit at some point too, but yeah,
He
never.
never made a 53-man roster.
Yep. So yeah, we're just glad to see the Hokies in the Heisman in a conversation. Like just
Yeah.
that's.
But when was the last time there was somebody firmly there? It's been a long time.
But before my time, for sure. I mean, you bring up names like a Ryan Williams or a David Wilson or a Darren Evans, and then I mean, of course, Michael Vick was in New York, but
Michael Vick was a finalist.
he was a finalist, but I don't think we've had a finalist since. But yeah,
I don't think we have.
So that's Heisman, and then let's just quickly do our picks. We're at an hour and 6 minutes. And I gotta hop off of here. But Josh, who you got? LSU at Texas A&M. A&M's -2.5, and the over under is 53.5.
I'm gonna take A&M -2.5. I think Mike Elko's a top 3 coach in college football, and he's got his voice humming.
I'm gonna take LSU. I'll take the points at +2.5, but I think they're gonna win it outright. I think they're looking pretty good.
On the road at Kyle Field, do you think they win it outright?
I don't know. I'm really bad at betting. I'm trying to like do opposite of what I actually think. So, we'll see how it goes. 1-4 last time we did this. So, yeah, fade me every time.
What was I?
I need to look. I haven't had a chance to go back, but I'm gonna do that this week and hopefully have it out before Saturday. All right, Notre Dame and Navy at MetLife. Notre Dame's favored by 12.5. Over under is 52.5.
I think that this game's going to be really good. I think that Navy has a shot to win. I don't think they do, but I'm taking Navy on the points.
I think we have some fool's gold with Navy and Army. Both their schedules have been really bad, so I'm gonna take Notre Dame in the points.
Their schedules have been really bad, but they beat those bad teams.
I know they've been beating the shit out of everybody, so I don't know. It's a shot in the dark.
Especially Army. I think Navy had a scare at one point with like Memphis or something.
Yeah. Then we got Washington at Indiana.
Can you wait? All right, I forgot that wasn't screen shared. That was my document that I had pulled up.
Gotcha.
You have Indiana -6.5, and the over is 53.5.
Yeah,
I'm going to take Indiana on the points, and I'd take them on an alt line at 20. I don't think Washington's good. Their coach is, but they're not ready yet.
Yep, and I'm feeling the same way. I got Indiana big. All right, and then last we got Texas at Vanderbilt. Texas -18.5, over unders 53.5.
If Vanderbilt wins this game, Diego Pavia, like you cancel the election in November, and Diego Pavia is the president. I have Texas even on the points, even though they're on the road. But man, if Vanderbilt finds a way to pull this off, then I mean, it would be on another level of upset.
I'm going to take Vandy in the points. Give me Vandy in 18.5. Texas's offense was disappointing last year, and Vandy can control the game anyways. They can run the ball a little bit, so maybe they keep it close. So we'll see.
Maybe they do.
Yeah, we'll see. So I'll compile these picks and hopefully have them out before Saturday, and I'll do our records from last week, and I'll try to get Chase's picks before Saturday. Next Tuesday, we'll lead off with a basketball preview because that's going to be I think 1 week before that season tips off. We'll talk a little bit of women's and men's, and just because we all like to hate on UVA, we'll look at their schedule a little bit and see what we think about them after Tony Bennett's out. Josh, any final thoughts?
I want to speak on Tony Bennett real quick. That was shocking.
Yeah.
He had a great career, and as much as I want to see UVA suffer, I feel really, really bad for them. I cannot imagine what it has to be like losing a Hall of Fame coach, especially like that.
I don't know that I would be awfully forgiving because, I think it's because of the climate. There's been numerous things saying it's not health. If it's health, he gets all the passes in the world early on. Like in the first 15 minutes, somebody was saying it's because of his wife's health. Could be his health. Could be family. If it's
any health, he gets all the passes in the world.
He gets all the passes he needs. If it's that the climate in college basketball has changed and he's just done with it, I'd be pissed. Because nothing is
before the season. He's a damn coward move.
Nothing has changed between now and the end of last season. Between now and April, when he should have retired if he was going to do this,
And in his press conference, he said he realized over the school's fall break, which was 2 weeks ago. I think once he retired, it was a week ago. I just don't understand how I would not be forgiving whatsoever as a UVA fan. But I would absolutely feel betrayed. It feels a lot. Well, I just realized we did go through this with Kenny Brooks.
But he didn't leave right before the season.
No, not right before the season, but not in the same capacity. But a coach leaving, with the writing not necessarily being on the wall. That's rough.
Yeah, and then let's look at their. Go ahead.
If there's any reason, any health reason, then he obviously he gets all the passes. And, he had a great career. Congratulations to him. He won national championship. He was a great coach. But, man, as bad as I want to make fun of them, you got to feel for those UVA fans.
Yeah, and, they kind of go right into the fire. They've got 2 warm-up games, Campbell and Coppin State. And Campbell's been decent in the last few years. I don't know anything about them. I know they've been kind of frisky, but I imagine even UVA without a head coach or with a new head coach handles them. But then they've got Villanova in Baltimore, who is, I want to say in KenPom is top 20, top 25.
Really?
Yeah, in KenPom. I don't think they're receiving votes in the AP poll, but in KenPom they're way up there.
They're 20th.
Yeah. So they got a top 20 team, and then they get Tennessee in the Baha Mar Hoops Challenge. Tennessee is ranked decently high. And then they get Baylor or St. John's after that. And those are, that's Rick
you get
Pitino.
Baylor or Rick Pitino, yeah.
Yeah, you get Baylor or Rick Pitino, and Baylor won that championship 2 or 3 years ago.
Is Baylor ranked?
I don't think so.
I'll check. They're 11th in the KenPom, which feels almost too high for them not to be ranked. They are 8th.
Yeah.
Oh, one thing. Ole Miss is ranked 24th. That feels weird. I'm not going to expand on that. That just feels weird.
And St. John's is unranked, but I wonder.
They're second receiving votes.
So UVA, they very well could start 2 and 3 in basketball right after losing their head coach. So that's tough. Because, yeah, they're likely not going to play Baylor. That's going to be Tennessee and Baylor, so they'll probably get St. John's. And they're probably not going to have very much for St. John's. And then 2 more warm-up games, and they go to Florida. And then they got SMU. So it's a gauntlet for UVA to start.
Yeah. But, we'll probably open up more into the basketball preview, ACC preview. Maybe we'll do that later on in the week so we don't get a super long episode. We'll figure that out.
Yep.
But yeah. Do we have anything else?
I don't think so. I think that's all. This is going to go up on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, wherever you're listening. Give us a like, follow, find us on Twitter. And YouTube kind of be the biggest thing, so give us a subscribe on there. That's where the video will be. But yeah, that's all. We'll see y'all later, and go Hokies.
Go Hokies.
Yep.